Hello and welcome back, everyone, to another exciting episode of Trails to Azure. We are in day 2 of chapter 4, or should I say, maybe this is day 3 or 4. It has been 2 days since our previous episode, and Crossbell has declared independence, and now Dieter Croy has become president. From exploring around Crossbell, because we are not allowed to go outside of Crossbell, it seems like the more gullible citizens are all about being independent and all about supporting Dieter Croix, but some of the more politically educated NPC, should I say, did show worries that this might be too hasty. The Erebonian cavalry will definitely retaliate, but then some of them said something important, that the new uniform, that white uniform, is, Dieter Croy is surprisingly prepared, which makes me even more suspicious of him. I think Red Constellation was hired by him to do damage in the city, to move people's opinion. I don't know. It seems to, because I just remember the whole thing of his speech, that Erebonia and Calvert's battle over Crossbell has caused a lot of terrorist attack. One of the more recent one is a bomb in the truck, which I think that's what killed Arios' wife and also injured Shizuku, which would make sense why Arios would be backing Dieter Croix right now. I don't know. Anyway, we have to go to the Bracer Guild, but before we do that, we have to do some of the important things, and there's not many. One of them would be to give food to Kope. Let's give Pale Salamander. Not bad. Most of the events would be in administrative district now, so let's go there. That was one heck of a speech, and I would expect Koi to go from mayor to our very first president, not to mention all those bold statements he made against Erebonia and Calvard. If they've been feuding in secret within our state, do you suppose that accident back then had something to do with it? Down with Erebonia and Calvard. When was the last time anyone ever stood up for Crossbell like that? Compared to President Crow, our Diet members are all a pack of domesticated dogs. Sure, a few of them were on the more abstaining side, like Speaker McDowell, but we've never had a leader this powerful before. Not only that, but it's appointed Crossbell's very own guardian, Arios McLean, as Secretary of Defense. I cannot think of a single person better suited to be at the helm of our state's protector. Now we'll have nothing to fear. Our independence may not be a pipe dream after all. I'm sure everything will be fine as long as we leave it to Mir. No, President Croy. Yeah, with him as our leader, we don't have to be afraid of Erebonia or Calvar. Thank you, President Croy. You're our hero, President Croy. 3 cheers for President Croy. Hooray for President Croy. Hooray for independence. Hooray for Crossbell. See, this is the more gullible side of the Crossbell. This is getting out of control. It is not as though I cannot understand how they feel, though. Trouble is bound to follow if they become overly zealous. Well, I'm sure the defense force here will have things under control in no time. Anyway, we should go. Hello everyone. Oh, the building has been fixed. You will be the special support section, correct? As I'm sure you heard by now, the CPD is being restructured into a branch of the Crossbell Defense Force. There's currently a meeting taking place on the second floor to outline the system to each of the section chiefs. We ask that you return to your base of operations and remain there until further instruction arrive. Sure. You're still free to move about the first floor, but please refrain from causing a disturbance. If your actions are deemed suspicious, we will not hesitate to take you into custody. Understood. They're being awfully coercive. Men from the Guardian, Defense Force suddenly stormed in here this morning and ordered us to remain on standby. It was all so sudden and confusing, I'm still not sure what we should be doing. Oh, I cannot. God damn it. I cannot keep the quartz fragment. Fine. Look over there. I don't think we can go to the tower for now. They stationed guys from the CDF in front of the tower, eh? Not just a few of them. This is where Uncle Dieter made his declaration of independence. This increase in security is no surprise. Is that you, Randy? Carter! Yo, Carter, I didn't even recognize you there, all decked out in white. So they transferred you here from Belgard? Yeah, they had to move some of us from the border gates to guard the president's address. Loggins is patrolling somewhere around here too. Cool. He was one of Randy's colleagues, right? Yes, I believe they were friends during his time with the CGF. Things have been pretty hectic since all of this went down. The guardsmen were all pretty surprised when we were told to put on this new uniform. I know what you mean, we had no idea this was coming on down the pipes either. They're looking pretty slick though. Almost like this all has been works for a while. Yeah, I'm sure the president has been looking forward to this day. The defense force is hoping to get some equipment upgrades too, so we gotta buckle down and prove we deserve it. Huh, right. The defense force soldiers seem to be in favor of this turn of events. The CGF has always lacked things most armed forces would have. It's only natural for them to welcome these changes from their perspective. Oh, and in case you hadn't heard, the defense force is shaking up the structure of command to be more like other armies in the continent. All current ranks are carrying over, but our day-to-day operations are going to be a lot stricter, like a proper military. I know you were pretty lax about using ranks back in the day, but I don't think that will fly now. Yeah, thanks for the heads up. I wonder if Morale will give me an earful for not calling her second lieutenant next time I see her. Not that I already haven't been. Guess some things never change. Is getting under her skin all you can think about? Yeah, I don't think you'll have to worry about that anymore. Huh? What's that supposed to mean? You said ranks are carrying over, so she would still be in second lieutenant, wouldn't she? That's not what I mean. There's something you should know, Randy. Mirail... Carter! Watch what you say to outsiders. What happened to Mirail? Sorry, Randy, I'll have to give you details some other time if you don't find out before then, that is. Not sure what's going on, but my bad. Didn't mean to get you chewed out. All good, don't worry about it. That reminds me, isn't the police going to be folded into the defense force too? We'll be wearing the same uniform again in the near future, how about that? Oof, that's one more thing to worry about. We should excuse ourselves. Yeah, let's go. Yep, we cannot go to Orchis Tower for the moment.
Gomen-kudasai.
失礼します。
あなたたち。いや、ロイドたちか。やれやれ。揃いも揃って式が連並べてんな。
余計なお世話だ。まあ否定はせん。
よりにもよってなんでアリオスさんが。
So he didn't even say goodbye, huh?
寝耳に水すぎるよ。
本当にそんな気配は全然なかったものね。強いて言うならオルキスタワーを訪れることが最近多かったくらいかしら。
そうね。あくまで今後のギルドの対応を協議しに行ってたはずだけど、まさかこんな段取りを話し合っていたなんて。
実はそのあたりをお聞きしたくて来たんです。アリオスさんはまだギルドに所属してるんですか？
昨夜いきなり辞表を出して、 遊撃士のエンブレムを返してきたわ。持っていた仕事は全部片付けて、今後の対応策も出してくれたのはいかにも彼らしいけど。
そうだったんですか。確かにアリオスさんらしい几帳面さですね。
だがこのように唐突に辞めるのはさすがに問題だろう。しかもクロスベル独立国の国防軍の長官などと。
こう言ってはなんだけど、エレボニアの反応が怖いわね。資産凍結なんていう脅迫すらしてしまっている状態だし。
そうだね。共和国の反応も怖いな。
だがアリオスさんの気持ちも理解できないわけじゃない。
スコット、
どういうこと？
俺もアリオスさんと同じクロスベル市の出身だが、確かに演説にもあったような原因不明の不可解な事故は年に 1,2 回は起きていたんだ。本当のことはわからないけど、皆帝国か共和国絡みで起きたことだとは。
それは
まあここ最近はそうした事故は起きてないが、5年前アリオスさんの奥さんとしずくちゃんが巻き込まれた事故が
Yep, just like I
か
mentioned.
もしれないな。
ひょっとして
5年前に表通りで起きた。当初はオーバルエンジンの暴走と可燃性の積み荷が原因とされたけど、そしてその事故に巻き込まれて奥さんのさやさんは亡くなり。
そういう顛末だったのかよ。
断片的な情報はある程度は聞いていましたが、それでアリオスさんは警察を辞めてギルドに移って。
私もアリオスとはその後からの付き合いだけど、彼一言も言わなかったけどずっと引っかかってたんでしょうね。そう考えると今回の大役を引き受けたのも
ミシェルさん、失礼は承知で尋ねますが、アリオスさんのスケジュールで。
ロイド君、どういうこと？
国防軍の司令長官、いきなり引き受けるにはあまりに重すぎる役目だと思い
They've
ます。
been planning, bro.
ビータ市長、いや大統領との間で根回しがされていたんじゃないですか。
For
それも
sure.
最近ではなくしばらく前から。
ミシェル？
まさか本当なのか？
確かに行き先など報告と食い違っていることはたまにあったわ。あれだけ仕事を抱えてたら当然だとは思ってたけど、考えてみればアリオスが報告を間違うなんて不自然極まりないのよね。
それじゃあそうした時間にディーター市長とコンタクトを？
その可能性は考えられるかもしれない。ロイド君、さすがね。怖いくらいの洞察力だわ。
いえ、失礼なことを言ってすみません。失礼ついでにお聞きしますけど、そうしたアリオスさんの行き先やスケジュールの食い違い、半年以上前で覚えはありませんか？
半年以上前ってまだディーターさんが市長にもなっていませんが。
そこまで前だと。でもあれがあったか。
あれ？
創立記念祭の最終日よ。彼仕事でレミフェリアに出張することになってたんだけど、それを急遽キャンセルしたのを報告し損なってたのよ。後で気づいて聞いてみたら、忙しくて報告し損なったって言ってたけど、何か気になるの？
まああの記念祭は殺人的な忙しさだったし。
報告に齟齬があったとしても無理もないと思うが。
記念祭の最終日といえば。
それがどうつながってるんだ？
わからない。でも何かつながりそうな気がする。今まで俺たちが忙しさのあまり。すみません、失礼します。はい、こちらクロスベル警察特務支援課で。
クロスベル国防軍特務支援課の間違いじゃないのか？
あなたは
Who is this child?
さて私は誰でしょう？正解された方には漏れなく豪華景品を。
くだらないクイズは結構です。一体どの面を下げてクロスベルにやってきたんですか？
Who are this?
やれやれ、 嫌われたもんだな。派手なことになってるみたいだが、ちょっとあった話さ。
Lecter?
ま、損はさせないと思う
It
ぜ。
has to be Lecter.
わかりました。どこに行けばいいんですか？
クリムゾン商会、いや、元ルバーチェ商会といった、あそこの会長室にするか。
地下のあそこですか？わかりました。
30、待ってるぜ。
もしかして行方不明のザオシとか？そういえばこの前ランディさんがいなくなった時。
そうだったのか。
いや、違う。帝国軍のレクター大尉だ。
あの人またクロスベルに来ていたんですか？
確かにどの面下げてって感じだな。
どうやら旧ルバーチェ商会で赤い星座とのつながりを考えるととても油断はできないけど。
だな。
虎穴にいらずんば、準備だけは万全にした方が良さそうね。
あなたたちも大変そうね。
We never does. Things are getting intense.
諜報局のアランドールか。恐ろしく厄介な若造らしいが。
厳しそうなら助立ちするから遠慮なく言ってよ。
そうね、湿地帯での借りもあるし。ありがとうございます。手に負えなさそうだったら。
Okay. To Rivace, I guess. But I think there's a hidden quest that we can have in the cathedral, specifically in the graveyard. Mr. Nielsen. Ah, is that you, Lloyd? This grave belonged to Lloyd's brother. You were here to visit him, weren't you? That's right. There was something I wanted to speak with Guy about. You wanted to talk to my brother? Yes, I wish to tell him about the raid, the Declaration of Independence, and President Croy's speech. The people of Crossbell are all facing in a singular direction, irrespective of their own personal emotions. It is for that reason that I am opting to go against the grain and ponder the darkness of the past instead. Darkness of the past, do you mean? Yes, I do. I'm referring to the murder of your older brother, Detective Guy Bennings. I beg your pardon? Guy's death. Where's this coming from? And why now? Or are you saying there's never been a more perfect time? What exactly is it that you know, Mr. Nielsen? Lloyd, Special Support Section. If you wouldn't mind, I would like for us to head elsewhere so we can review that case together. How does that sound? Alright, if you're willing to, then so are we. Thank you for your cooperation. It just so happens that I have the perfect place in mind. Let's make our way back to the city. Out of curiosity, Mr. Nielsen, why come to Garante specifically? 3 years ago, Guy and I agreed to meet here for another one of our friendly exchanges of information. It was shortly before that meeting when I learned of his death. Oh, that explains it. The secret behind the cult incident, the arrests of the Imperial and Republican faction Diet members, the election of a new mayor, the inaugural meeting of the Wazy Hemisphere Trade Conference, and the raid on Crossbell City. And now the declaration of Crossbellan independence. While each of these events may appear isolated on the surface, in truth they are closely intertwined. In other words, they are all pieces of much larger puzzle. Really? Yes. Were one to unpack the bigger picture behind them, the rest of the pieces would surely fall into place. Doing so would shed new light on the murder of Guy Bennings. That is why I propose this case review. I understand, however, if you would rather spare yourself the heartache, Lloyd. No, I'm alright. Lloyd, are you certain of that? Don't forget, time ain't exactly on our side today. We should get the show on the road. That's perfectly fine with me. Let us begin then. First and foremost, we should examine the conditions under which Guy's body was discovered. It was a rainy day 3 years ago at Orchis Tower's construction site. Time of death was estimated to be just past dawn, though the body was not discovered until later that night. As for the cause of death, it was a hemorrhagic shock. A bullet from an orbital gun pierced him from behind straight through the heart. Does all that sound correct? Yes, that's right. He was shot in the back? Damn, what the hell? Now let us reconstruct the scene of the crime at the time his body was found. To begin, there were signs of a fierce struggle throughout the area. However, the only physical evidence left behind was Guy's body itself. Not only was his favorite pair of tonfas absent from the locus delicti, but the CPD badge that he so proudly wore on his chest was missing as well. I have come to understand that this badge was recently recovered. Is it true that it was taken by a member of the organized crime syndicate known as Ravache? Yes, we found it in Marconi's office, and he later confirmed it. The mafioso in question even confessed to lifting the badge off his body after the cold incident was resolved. I see. However, that was, as you said, after the fact. As far as eyewitnesses go, there were none. At the time, construction work had been suspended, and no staff were present at the site. The time of day and environmental factors were also unfavorable. It was the break of dawn in the midst of a blustery thunderstorm. Because of that, there was no reason for anyone to approach the scene, much less witness the actual murder. To make matters worse, Guy never informed anyone or where he was heading prior the incident. And that is where my trail goes cold. What you just heard is entirely of what I've managed to gather these past 3 years. That is, unless you have anything to add, Lloyd. No, I don't think so. You covered everything I knew too. Mr. Nielsen's penchant for gathering information never ceases to amaze. Yes, though in this case, it would seem Guy was not just a source to him, but a dear friend as well. That may explain why he has such a vested interest in a cold case like this. Very well, why don't we move on to the case review then? If we are to unravel this mystery, we must first carefully consider our potential culprits. The obvious place to start would be to go over the most likely suspects, namely Ravache and the DG cult. Do you believe that either of them might be the perpetrator, Lloyd? Member of the Mafia, member of the cult? I don't think it's the Mafia, they only pick up the badge. I don't think it's the cult too, because we would have learned something in the first game. No, it couldn't have been either of them. As far as the Mafia goes, Marconi denied that he and his men were responsible. Of course, his word only means so much on its own, but Joachim told us that although he arranged for Ravache to kill my brother, they failed. Oh yeah, that's right, they did say that. Garcia Rossi admitted it to him when Marconi tried to take credit. There's also no evidence that any of their subordinates went behind their backs to carry out a hit. Not only that, but Guy was also already investigating both the Mafia and Joachim. His defenses were up. He would have never put himself in a position where either of them could make an attempt of his life. I just cannot fathom that being the case. Gotta agree, chances are slim. Everything we've come to learn about the dude says he wasn't just ballsy, he was damn good detective too. That he was. I could never believe for a second that he died fighting the Mafia or the cult. I feel just the same way myself. The elements of this case would appear to point elsewhere. The theory may have held water prior to the cult incident, but at this point we can safely rule out both Ravache and the cult. So let's move down to the list. Could he have been assassinated on behalf of one of the two major powers? By a Diet member from the Imperial or Republican faction, say, or one of the government official they align with, or perhaps a foreign intelligence officer. Do you think it's possible that Guy's killer might fit into any of those categories? It's not very likely. It's true, there have always been corrupt officials within Crossbell with ties to the two major powers, but it's also true that my brother was quick to push against the injustices they committed. Plus, we can now say for certain that spies from both countries were making frequent visits to Crossbell around that time, but as much as I believe in my brother, he was in no real position to touch them. They couldn't have viewed him as a serious threat. Unfortunately, you're probably right. As much as I hate to admit it, either nation could apply tremendous pressure on the CPD through the state government if they really wanted to, especially under the old administration when Guy was alive. It would have been far too easy. Yeah, it just doesn't fit. Why go to the effort of luring out and killing one single detective when bureaucratic red tape is effective enough as it is? A high-risk, low-reward maneuver like that just wouldn't have been worth it, no matter how much of a thorn in their side he was. Let's say, and I'm just talking hypotheticals here, that Lloyd's bro was in contact with one of those guys. He still wouldn't walk into an obvious trap. It's the same deal as the Mafia. I concur. Impressive to deuce. I have nothing more to say on the subject. With that, let's move on to our final possibilities. Out of a sizable pool of potential suspects, you've eliminated every one of them so far. Tell me then, who else do you suppose could fit the profile of Guy's killer? A Crossbell. Guy was still wary of them, no doubt, but he had to have been someone he knew well. That's the only answer that fit. You serious? And what brings you to that conclusion? Well, first of all, Guy never revealed to anyone where he was going beforehand. That leads me to believe that he was confident in his ability to handle the situation alone. The only reason he would feel that way is if he were meeting someone he knew personally. That is true. Whether Guy was asked to go there or whether the meeting was his idea is impossible to say, but consider where they met, an empty construction site. Clearly, whatever they planned to discuss was important. They didn't want anybody to hear what they were talking about. It's possible the conversation went sideways, that it broke down to the point of no return. Maybe that's why the killer took his life. And what conversation would that be? Honestly, I don't have the slightest clue. But whatever it was, it cost him his life, and that means it was grave enough to silence him over. I don't use this word lightly, but it might have been linked to a deep conspiracy of some kind. A conspiracy? When we began this review, you said that unpacking the bigger picture could shed new light on the case. At that moment, I felt like something clicked, way in the back of my mind. Did you now? I cannot get past the idea that my brother was closing in on some kind of a secret plot. A plot concocted by somebody connected to the DG called the Mafia, the Empire, and the Republic, yet also separate from them. Whoever it was, they couldn't allow Guy to interfere, and chances are that conspiracy is still alive and well to this day. Doesn't that sound like the most logical explanation? Connected, yet also separate. And you say this conspiracy is still ongoing? It's hard to draw any other conclusion. The killer is still at large after all. The fact alone is enough to tell me that whatever they killed Guy over is long ways from settled. Mr. Nielsen? Sorry, was that too far-fetched? No, not at all. I think your reasoning is perfectly sound. Let me ask you this, Lloyd. As we were reviewing this case, did any particular suspect come to mind? One who could, in theory, have called Guy out of the construction site and murdered him 3 years ago? No, unfortunately not. To his credit, Guy was popular. Even if we narrow it down to those he knew personally, that's still a lot of people. There are also two other key details. His back was turned when it happened, and his tonfas were removed from the scene afterward. I suspect that both of those facts are vital to figuring out what really happened that day. Then again, if that evidence alone was enough to identify the killer, the 1st Division would have solved this case 3 years ago. That's a fair assessment. Unfortunately, not every clue has been revealed, and so the culprit cannot yet be identified. However, I do think one thing has made itself very clear. The only person who can uncover those final missing pieces and solve this puzzle is you, Lloyd. Right, and I intend to do just that. Glad to hear it. It's strange, I suddenly feel as though I've made a good on my promise to share intel with Guy here 3 years ago. I owe you all my deepest gratitude for indulging me with this review session. Not at all, if anything, we should be the ones thanking you for this. You're too kind. Now, if you'll excuse me, I greatly anticipate hearing about your future exploit, SSS. I get the sense that Mr. Nielsen was hoping to help us more than the other way around. He might be on something to you. Keeping his promise to my brother may have been his real goal. I'm glad we took the time to speak with him. Can I heal first? Still no front.
よし行くか。もう誰もいないみたいだな。
警察でも施錠だけして放置していたはずですが。
わざわざ呼びつけたってことはピッキングでもしやがったか。
とにかく入ってみましょう。どうやら先に来ているみたいですね。
ああ、慎重に降りてみよ
う。Okay. We can only go one way.
帝国軍情報局所属レクター・アランドールか。油断できる相手じゃない。入るなら覚悟を固めよう。
Once you proceed into the room, you will not be able to buy items, adjust equipment, or change your armaments for some time. Be aware that any outstanding support requests will expire as well. Ooh. That's safe.
帝国軍油断できる。
よう、ご苦労さん。どうやら国防軍の連中は引き連れてないみたいだな。
だからといってあなたを捕まえるつもりがないと思わない方がいいですよ。
赤い星座の所業、あなたにも関係がないとは言わせません。
担当直入に聞くぜ。なんでクロスベルに現れた？それとおじきたち。赤い星座はどこに行った？
クライアントならばもちろんご存知ですよね。
まずは最初の質問に答えさせてもらおうか。俺が来たのは今日帝都からの始発でな。もちろんギリアスのおっさんの指示によるものだ。
鉄血宰相の。
どういう目的で？
その前にあんたらに耳寄りな情報を教えてやろう。今日の午後くらいに帝国軍が侵攻してくるぞ。
What?
冗談きついです。
いや、この状況じゃ本当だとしてもおかしくねえ。もちろんベルガード門からだな。
ああ、すでにガレリア要塞に機甲師団が集結している。たかだか一個師団だが最新の重戦車が揃ってるからクロスベルの装甲車くらいは余裕で蹴散らすだろうな。
すぐに警備隊に。国防軍に伝えないと。
いや、とっくに伝わってるぜ。
They know?
一応事前の通達は実習政府に言ってるしな。なのにリーターのおっさんは IBC の資産凍結を撤回せず大統領
Oh, I think I know what this is.
侵攻してく
Oh,
る
wow.
軍を防ぐの
Oh,
が
yeah, finally.
不可能なのは分かっているはずなのに。
I finally will find out what happened.
それが俺が改めてクロスベル入りした理由
They can, in fact, stop the invasion.
おい、どういうことだ？その状況でアリオスのおっさんを国防軍の長官に任命してどうなる？
わからない。いくらアリオスさんでも戦車相手に戦えるわけがないし、どう考えても何か切り札があるとしか思えない判断だけど。
もしかして共和国と和解して帝国軍への牽制を。もしそうだったら大統領演説で共和国のことまであんな風に非難するはずがないわ。あくまでカルバードとも本気で対決するつもりのはずよ。
ええ、そうでしょうね。
キリカ。
あなたは。
キリカさんじゃないっすか。
お久しぶり。アランドール大尉も遅れてすまなかったわね。
ま、俺も来たばかりだし気にしないでくれ。そっちの様子はどうよ。
おおむね予想通りの進行ね。現在アルタイル市の郊外に空挺機構師団が展開しているわ。
Oh, it's gonna be a war.
共和国軍も。
空挺機構師団ってことは戦車と飛行艇の混成部隊かよ。
ええ、機動力のある新型戦車とガンシップの組み合わせね。カルバード軍の中でも最高の機動力を誇っているわ。
そんな。
挟み撃ちということですか？
ええ、あなたたちにとっては不本意な事態でしょうけど、でもこの状況になるのは少し考えればわかるはずよ。にもかかわらずディーター・クロイスは一切の妥協なく強硬姿勢に出た。これは一体どういうことかしら。
それともう一つ、2番目の質問について大サービスで答えてやろう。
2番目。
赤い星座の行方か。
ああ、答えは簡単。
They don't know.
俺たちだって全然知らないんだな。
Of course. It's not Erebonia who attacked Crossbell.
ここまでぶっちゃけておいてそれはないのでは。
クロスベルで暴れた後契約は終了したってことか。
いや、待ってくれ。赤い星座は通商会議の時帝国政府と契約を結んでいた。契約内容は最小の命を狙うテロリストたちの殲滅。それは間違いないですね。
ああ、連中もそう言ってたろ。
でもひょっとして帝国政府との契約はその時に切れていたんですか？
それって
まさか。
ロイド、やっぱりあんた割と諜報に向いてるかもな。もう少し性格が悪ければだが。
それじゃ
答えは通商会議以降帝国政府は赤い星座と関わりはない。にもかかわらず連中がクロスベルに残ってたのはこちらも妙だと思っていたが、まさかあんなことをいきなりぶちかますとはな。
そんな。
じゃあどうしておじきたちはあんな真似を。
まさか結社と新たな契約を結んだとか？
いえ、それかつてリベールの異変では彼らは強化傭兵という独自の戦闘部隊を運用していた。もしクロスベルを襲撃するならそういった部隊にさせたでしょ
う。なるほど。
わざわざ外部の傭兵団を雇う必要はないわけですか？
そうなると他の候補は絞られてくる。いかにも帝国政府が黒幕と思われるような状況でクロスベル市を襲撃させて何らかの得をした勢力、そして最高ランクの傭兵団と長期契約を結べるほどの莫大な資金力を持っている勢力。
ま、そういうことかね。
信じがたい可能性にこそ往々にして真実は潜むものよ。
ちょっと待って。今の話の流れだと
It's Dieter Croy.
どうしそうなのは一つしかねえだろ。
He benefits the most from the incident.
いや、さすがに決めつけはまずい。
It's definitely him.
レクター対キリカさん、情報提供には感謝しますが、あなた方の立場も立場です。ここから先は自分たちで。はい、特務支援課バニンクスで。
He didn't say the police whatever.
セシルね、そんな慌てて何かあったのか？
それがさっきアリオスさんがこのビルにやってきたの。
アリオスさんが？
それで
What?
キヤちゃんを連れてそのまま。
Oh no, he's working with Belle as well.
私も止めようとしたんだけど、キヤちゃんがとにかく戻ってこられる。詳しい状況を説明するから。
わかった。そのまま待っててくれ。
どうしたの？
お前すげえ血相だぞ。
アリオスさんが支援課に来てキーヤを連れて行った。
なんだと。
一体どうして？
とにかく支援課に戻ろう。キリカさん、レクターさん、俺たちはこれで失礼します。
ええ、 気をつけて。
頑張れよな。
Oh, they both know what Arios wanted to do with
やっぱ
Kia.
あの嬢ちゃんが全ての鍵だったかな。間に合うと思うか。
そうね。多分難しいでしょう。
セシルね。
ロイド。
それでキアは
アリオスさんに連れて行かれたそうですが、
あの白い制服を着たアリオスさんが一人で来て迎えに来たって声をかけたら、キーヤちゃんもうなずいて。
そんじゃ希望は自分からついてったんすか？
私にはそう見えたわ。でもあなたたちに無断でというのも変だったから止めようとしたんだけど、大丈夫だからって。それで警戒してたツァイト君もおとなしくなっちゃって。
Where is Zai?
ツァイトがどこにもいません。二人がいなくなってから、ひょっとしたら二人を追いかけたのかもしれないけど。
どういうことだ？
しずくちゃんのことで約束でもあったのかしら。
私もそう思ったんだけど、どうもそうじゃないみたいで、ミシュラムに行くようなことをアリオスさんに。
Mishelam?
ミシュラム？
ボートの用意はできているって、つまりミシュラムに行くということよね。
ここ数日ミシュラム方面は完全に営業停止しているはずだわ。そんなところにわざわざ。
やっぱ普通じゃねえぞ。
追いかけましょう、ロイドさん。
ああ、なんとかボートを調達しよう。セシルね、ごめん。とにかく追いかけてみるよ。
気をつけて。アリオスさんもキーヤちゃんもいつになく真剣な目をしていたわ。多分よほどの事情があると思う。
わかった。
とにかく追いついてその事情を聞かないと。なんとか警察のボートを確保できたのは良かったけど、
どうやらミシュラムは完全に封鎖されたそうですね。テーマパークや各種ショップの常駐スタッフも退去したとか。
例の湿地帯に向かった可能性もあったが、俺は間違いなくミシュラムが正解だろうな。
エリー、マリア・ベルさんとは？
ここ数日なかなか
She's in on it, gangs.
IBC ビル爆破の後始末で忙しかったみたいだけど。
She's in on it.
あのお嬢さんはともかく、レクターの野郎とキリカさんがほのめかしたあれは本当なのか？
クロスベル襲撃の真の黒幕はディーター・クロイス市長。
ロイド、私に気を使う必要はないわ。昨日からおじい様との連絡が取れていないのだけど、執事のヘルマンさんはもしかしたらオルキスタワーに拘束されたかもしれないって。
それは
完全に黒じゃねえか。
ディーター市長が一連の事件の黒幕。そう考えると全ての辻褄が合ってくるのは確かだ。その場合、赤い星座や結社は彼の雇った実動部隊ないし魔人化したバルトや、場合によっては教団すらも。
What cult incident is also part of his plan?
DJ 教団も。
バルドはともかくヨアヒムまでもってことかよ。
そんな。
もちろん直接のつながりがあった可能性は低いだろう。ユア姫の言動から判断する限り他に黒幕がいた様子もない。だが彼自身が気づかない形で。
そういえば太陽の砦からキーヤちゃんを連れ去った人物も判明していなかったわね。
That is true.
そしてシュバルツオークションの出品物に紛れ込ませたやつ、考えてみりゃ誰の仕業にしたってインや結社クラスの連中。そうでなけりゃ。
はい、特務支援課ロイドです。
よっしゃ、繋がったか。
Jonah?
スピーカーモードにしてくれよ。
夜中。分かった、すぐに切り。
ヨナ、どうしたんですか？
どうしたもこうしたもないって。クロスベルの動力ネットだけどとんでもない化け物が潜んでるぞ。
化け物？
どういうこと？
最初はネットワークの周辺に変なデータ構造体を見つけたんだ。意味不明な配列だったから単なるゴミかと思ってたけど、よくよく調べてみたら 例の結社が使っていたコードを進化させたものが使われ
Beat
てたんだ。
up version.
ストラルコード、つまり結社が仕掛けた何らかのトラップですか？
いや、日付を見る限り5年近く前からのものだ。
5 years.
確か動力ネットが導入されたのもそのあたりじゃなかったか。
ええ、確かに動力ネットの導入を自治州政府に提案したのはその結果財団の技術が導入され IBC も深く関わってきた。それこそネットワークの基幹部分を知り尽くしているくらいに。
おいおいってことは
ヨナ、その化け物とは何なんだ。そいつのせいで何が起きる？
それは解析中だけど、ただ動力ネットの全領域を覆い尽くすような、しかもそれと連動するようにリアルなシステムも用意されてるみたいだぜ。
リアルということは動力ネットの世界ではなく、
ああ、ジオフロントの全区画、それとオルキスタワーを結んでミシュラム方面までつなげる仕掛けが構築されてるみたいだ。
ミシュラム、
その名前が出るかよ。
とにかく解析できたらまた連絡する。何してんのか知んねえけどぜいぜい気をつけろよな。
おいおい、つながりすぎじゃねえか。
どんな目的のシステムかは現財団や結社以外でそれだけの巨大なシステムを構築できる人間がいるとすれば、
今はこのままミシュラムを目指そう。キーヤもアリオスさんも全ての答えが待っているはずだ。
Also, Wazy was gone, right? But so is Abbas. And they happen to left just before the defense force is reinstated. So I don't know what they're planning, man. But Wazy has my evade 3, man.
音が。
これは鏡の
Castle of
最上
Mirrors.
階にあった。
Wait a minute. The bell from Crossbell is moved to the Castle of Mirrors?
なんか水面もぼんやり光ってやがるし。ティオスケ、なんだかわかるか？
どうやら冷圧のようなものが高まりつつあるようです。それも奥にあるテーマパーク方面から。
そうか。そちらにアリオスさんたちが向かった可能性は高そうだな。
Wait, do we have to fight
行っ
Arios?
てみましょう。
Do we have to fight Arios? Oh. Great adversities of tremendous proportions lie ahead, should you continue to tread the path before you. The cards are being rather cryptic today, but I will do my best to interpret for you. Put simply, if you are determined to press onward, you should prepare yourself for the worst case scenario. Though you will face many hardships, there is no guarantee you will be able to protect that which you hold most dear, for whether you can depend on not on the cards, but yourselves. I guess nobody else is here, huh? It's close. Everything's close.
冷圧の上昇を感知。気をつけてください。
何
Yo, what the hell? Oh my god, aren't you the Chimera?
これって。
湿地帯に現れた化け物かよ。
上位3属性の発動も確認しました。
迷ってる暇はない。迎撃するぞ。
あいさ。
了解よ。大型の霊視体を確認。厳重です。
わかった。
私の番です。分析を開始します。情報を入手しました。
Things Chimera, cryptid from the form of lion.
そこだ。これが俺たちの力だ。
やったわ。
Call to surrender.
クラフトゲットです。
Episode 02.
なんでこんな場所に幻獣が現れやがったんだ。
わかりません。ですが、この冷圧の高まりと関係していると思います。それと総員と同じく鐘の音も関係しているのかもしれないわね。
そんな場所にキーヤとアリオスさんはとにかく中に入るぞ。
はい。
Oh, I was fully healed though, thank god. Oh my god, the Pleroma grass. We're gonna fight more cryptids, aren't we?
プレロマソウ。
石井の花壇が。
Not this again.
沼地に現れた。
ぶちのめすぞ。デカブツだ。気抜くなよ。
了解です。ドライブ開始。
よし。それ。
Botanical cryptid that emerged from a spatial rift, each tendril acts of its own accord.
行くぜ。
Oh my goodness, thank god.
良いデータが取れました。
ナイスファイト。
Oh, I got it now. I was fully healed because I leveled up.
前にこの場所で結社のカンパネルラと遭遇したけど、考えてみればキーヤもちょうどこの先だ。
ええ、本当に何があるのかしら。
考えても仕方ねえ。行ってみるしかねえだろ。
ええ、行きましょう。
I think I'm gonna cut the cryptid battle because it seems like it's the same with the previous one. So that way I could fit all of them in one episode, I think.
鏡の城、単なるテーマパークのモニュメントかと思ったが、
明らかに冷圧はこの城から高まっています。それもおそらく、確かこの城は彼女の提案で建造されたと聞いたことも。
Suspicious, suspicious.
まさか。
とにかく中に入ろう。運が良ければ最上階まで。
Oh god.
鉱山の。
城の門番のつもりかよ。
戦闘準備、全力で撃破する。
大型の霊視体を確認。厳重です。
分かった。やっでそこだ。
私の番ね。エニグマ駆動行きます。エニグマ駆動。
任せろ。
行きます。エニグマ駆動。さてと、ドライブ開始。
そこだ。任せてくれ。それ。
This might be the easiest among the other two.
Status オールグリーンです。
The Castle of Mirrors.
この光はどうやら霊力の粒子が上に登っているみたいですね。
正面の入り口が。
ああ、塞がってやがるな。代わりに左右に入り口が現れてやがる。
何度か来たことがあったけど、あんな仕掛けがあったなんて。これも彼女の仕業。奥の方から奇妙な可動音も聞こえます。進むのなら警戒は必要かと。
とにかく何としても最上階にたどり着くしかない。アリオスさんを問い詰め、キーヤを取り戻すためにも。
Alright, I guess this is gonna be a dungeon, so this would be where I end the episode. When we come back, we're gonna scale the Castle of Mirrors dungeon style, and we're gonna try to save Kea. Though I don't think we will be able to do that because we're probably gonna have to fight Arios McLean. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoy. Until next time, bye.